Picture this. You're riding in the passenger seat of a car, and suddenly, the driver jerks the wheel for a sharp, high-speed turn to the right. What happens to you? Bam! You feel yourself slammed hard against the left side of the car door. I mean, it literally feels like some invisible hand just shoved you sideways, right?
So here is the big question. Why do you feel pushed to the left when the car turns right? You feel squished, your shoulder hurts. It's a very real physical sensation. But here's the wild part. If a physicist was standing on the sidewalk watching you, they'd tell you there is absolutely no physical force pushing you to the left. Zero. Nothing. It is a complete illusion.
By the end of this explainer, you're going to understand exactly why that illusion happens. We're going to uncover the physics of reference frames, break down what physicists call fictitious forces, and ultimately, you'll see how these exact same playground illusions literally shape the massive weather systems on our planet.
Okay, let's dive into this. To solve the mystery of the car turn, physicists look at something called a frame of reference. Basically, think of a frame of reference as your point of view. Now that observer on the sidewalk is standing on Earth, which is what we call an inertial frame. This just means it's mostly stationary or moving at a steady speed, and all forces have a real identifiable origin. But inside the car, you're in a totally different environment. You are in a non-inertial frame. So, what's a non-inertial frame of reference? It's simply an accelerated frame of reference. Because the car isn't just cruising straight, right? It's turning. And changing direction means it is accelerating to the side. As long as you're inside that accelerating car, your whole point of view is fundamentally distorted by that acceleration.
And that distortion creates what we call a fictitious force, literally, a force having absolutely no physical origin. So that push you feel against the car door, it's entirely fictitious. There is nothing real pushing you to the left. What's actually happening is just Newton's first law, inertia. Your body simply wants to keep traveling in a straight line. It's not that you're being thrown left, it's that the car is accelerating right and effectively crashing its left door into you.
Now let's take this to the playground. Let's take a mental ride on a rapidly spinning merry-go-round. Imagine you're holding onto the bars, spinning faster and faster. You know that exact same type of outward pull, right? That feeling of being thrown outward is known as centrifugal force. It's defined as a fictitious force that tends to throw an object off when it's rotating in a non-inertial frame. You instinctively brace yourself. You hang on tight to fight it. But remember our rule. Because you are in a rotating, accelerating reference frame, this outward pull is just an illusion.
The truth? It's just inertia. If I'm standing on the playground watching you spin, I do not see any mysterious force pulling you outward. I just see your body trying to travel in a straight line, right off the ride. You have to physically use your muscles to hold on, and that creates a real inward pull, what we call centripetal force, to keep you moving in a circle. Without it, you just fly off straight.
Now, a very sharp student usually asks something like this right about now. Wait, if centrifugal force isn't real, why does a medical centrifuge separate liquids or blood samples so perfectly it literally uses that outward push? It's a brilliant question.
And it brilliantly illustrates our point. Think about it. A centrifuge spins incredibly fast, but the particles inside the fluid aren't actually being pushed out. Their inertia just wants to carry them in a straight line, tangent to the circle of the spin. The high angular velocity means they try to shoot straight so fast that they hit the bottom of the test tube walls. The heavy particles pack at the bottom, which hastens the sedimentation. It is pure inertia doing the work here, not some outward push.
All right, let's move to a slightly different thought experiment and see how this builds. Imagine you're sitting right in the center of our spinning merry-go-round, and you slide a ball directly outward to your friend who's sitting on the edge.
To you, sitting on the ride, the ball doesn't go straight. It mysteriously curves away, seemingly pushed to the right. This introduces us to another fictitious force, the Coriolis force. It is the apparent deflection of moving objects when viewed in a rotating frame. To explain why the ball missed your friend, your brain just invents this force pushing it sideways. Now, what's really interesting here is what the observer standing on the solid playground ground sees. From the Earth view, that ball goes perfectly straight. It never curves at all. What actually happened is that the merry-go-round rotated underneath the ball while it was sliding. Your friend on the edge physically moved out of the way. But because you are spinning with the ride, you perceive a curved path.
Wait, this is important, so let's pause for a second. We've been talking about observers on Earth as being in a stationary, inertial frame. But Doesn't the Earth rotate too? Yes, it absolutely does.
Earth is basically a giant merry-go-round. Now, its angular velocity is pretty small, right? It takes 24 hours for one full rotation, so we don't notice it in our daily lives. But for massive, large-scale motions that travel huge distances, like global wind patterns, the Coriolis force becomes incredibly important. If you look down from above the North Pole, Earth rotates counterclockwise. This means any large-scale motion in the northern hemisphere gets deflected to the right. In the southern hemisphere, it's deflected to the left.
So, the crucial point is how this actually builds a hurricane. Let's walk through this step by step. Step 1. Air naturally flows inward toward a region of low pressure in the atmosphere. Step 2. As that air travels for hundreds of miles, the Earth rotates underneath it. Step 3. In the northern hemisphere, this apparent Coriolis force deflects those inward winds to the right. Step 4. Because all the inward rushing air is being pushed off to the right, it creates a massive, swirling counterclockwise spin around the center.
And this perfectly illustrates the real-world consequences of a rotating reference frame. In the northern hemisphere, these massive low-pressure storm systems, hurricanes, always rotate counterclockwise. But if you cross the equator into the southern hemisphere, the deflection goes to the left. As a result, tropical cyclones down there rotate in a clockwise direction. It's the exact same physics, just a flipped frame of reference.
This brings us to a very common student mistake. I get asked this all the time, and it's a fun one. If the Coriolis effect makes storms spin differently, does it make toilets flush backwards in Australia?
The answer is a definitive no. The Coriolis force is incredibly weak on small scales. To actually see it, the object has to travel for miles and miles. For a sink or a toilet, the rotation is entirely determined by the shape of the bowl and the angle of the water jets. It's a really fun myth, but the Coriolis effect only dictates massive, large-scale motions. Before we finish up, let's summarize the key takeaways we've covered today. First, rotating or accelerating environments are non-inertial reference frames. Second, in these frames, our brains invent fictitious forces, like the centrifugal force pulling us outward or the Coriolis force curving a ball, to explain the apparent motion we see. And finally, what's really happening is just real-world inertia, which, on a planetary scale, literally creates our global weather patterns. As the physics text beautifully puts it, a view in an inertial frame is the simplest and truest in the sense that all forces have real origins and explanations. When we conceptually step off the merry-go-round or step outside the turning car and view things from a stable, non-accelerating frame, the mysteries just vanish. We stop being fooled by illusions and see the true physical reality of inertia at work.
But I want to leave you with a provocative thought here. We learned today that fictitious forces exist purely because our frame of reference is accelerating. Well, think about gravity. It's an action at a distance. We can't see physical strings pulling us down, so could gravity itself be a fictitious force resulting from the fact that our frame of reference in space-time is somehow accelerating? Hold on to that question because